Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us in this video. I'm extremely excited to have one of my personal friends and somebody who I consider to be the Medicare expert joining me today. I specialize in retirement. I really focus on retirement income, especially on this channel, but Medicare comes up all the time. And this is the company that's my go-to that I use whenever I need somebody that I can trust for my clients to get the right information. I have Zach Markham here with me, owner of Fidelis Consultants. Zach, thanks for joining me, man.
Hey, Danny, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. Honestly, like you said, good friend of mine as well, right back at you. And yeah, I mean, we just love what we do here over at Fidelis. We love helping consumers with their Medicare, and that's what we truly specialize in and what we focus on.
That's awesome, man. That's so great. I really believe in trying to master your one thing and staying in your lane. And so I've never delved into Medicare, even though I'm a licensed health agent. I've always just used Fidelis. I've always gotten great results. I've always been really impressed. My clients have been so happy working with you guys over the years. And so what I want to do today with our time is try to bring as much value as we can to kind of clear up some of the misinformation or get some questions addressed for people who are approaching Medicare age or who are on Medicare and want to know what their options are. So I wanted to ask you a few questions about that so that we could share the most amount of value with the people watching. So before I dive into all that though, how did you get started in Medicare?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. About 10, 12 years ago, I was really more focused on the P&C side of the insurance business, so home and auto and whatnot. And I kept getting invites to do health insurance. And at the time, it was like the nightmare scenario of, Obamacare and all that. And everybody was like, don't touch it. And then I kind of dipped my feet in the water, so to say, with starting to sell some Medicare plans. And I just realized how rewarding it was. Honestly, it didn't feel like a sales job. It truly felt like you were just helping people because you're truly advising people on a plan when they turn retirement age and get onto Medicare, and helping them pick a plan that's going to suit them for a lot of people, a time in their life when they need the most medical help. And on top of that, most of these plans are at no cost. So you didn't feel like you're pushing some sale and trying to make some crazy amount of money. And it was just truly an advisory role, and you really feel like you're helping people. So I really started pivoting away from the world I was in the home and auto world. And I really started moving into Medicare, and I've never looked back. I love where I'm at. And obviously that's why I helped start and co-found Fidelis. And it's really been founded on those principles that we advise people, we consult people, and we help them. We're not here to push anything on anybody.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I can tell you firsthand from seeing my clients that have used you, they all feel the same way. And so that's why I continue to use you guys, because I feel like you're really there. You're very mission focused. You're there to serve. And yes, you do have an incredible partner. Adam and co-owner is an amazing gentleman himself. I'd love to have him on sometime as well. But let's start with some basics too. So a lot of people are always curious when they're approaching age 65, they get like bombarded with mail and calls, and they're getting just overwhelmed and inundated. They don't know where to go or who to trust. What do people, they always want to know, like, what's their Medicare Part B premium? That's where I want to start if we can.
Yeah, so that is always a moving target every year, right?
Mhm.
So every year, CMS comes out with a new Medicare Part B premium amount that's adjusted each year with inflation and all sorts of different metrics that the government uses. But it's really going to depend on your income bracket, right? So, um, and there's several different brackets of income that you're going to be allocated into to determine your Medicare Part B premium. And that is a big question that we get all the time. Somebody will call us and say, why is my Medicare Part B premium $400 or $500 and my neighbor next door is $150? That doesn't make any sense. So that's part of us, and sitting down with you and having a consultant or advisory appointment is just saying, look, you made this much money and your Part B premium is going to be this much. So there's not a one size fits all answer to that of what your Part B premium is, but if you have a quick call with us or sit down with us, we can definitely assess and determine what your Part B premium is going to be each year based on your income.
Okay, that makes sense. Would you mind giving us, and I'm sure we could do like a 2-day course on this, but could you give us like a maybe 30-second, 60-second rundown of the plans and the different options that are that people need to be aware of when they're looking at Part A, Part B, D, all the different parts?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one thing. It's somewhat funny. And at the same time, it's why we have a job, because it can be so confusing. You get
Yeah.
so many people that come to us as, they mix up all the letters, all the words, and by the end of it, they don't even know what plan they're supposed to be looking for, right? So,
It's confusing.
yeah, so I mean, it's really good to get a high level overview of what it all is. So, when you turn 65, typically, that's when most people get Medicare. Now, there's other circumstances when you can get it, but we'll just go off of the most typical circumstance.
Sure.
Turn 65, you're going to get a Medicare card. You're going to have your Part A on that card and your Part B. That's just what we call original Medicare. Part A covers hospital expenses and major medical expenses like skilled nursing, things of that nature,
Mhm.
right? So you earn your Part A benefit by working at least 10 years in the US. And so most people get that and they're not paying for it, right? Now, if you haven't worked in the US for at least 10 years or 40 consecutive quarters, you're going to have a premium for your Part A, but that's a fairly uncommon circumstance. Your Part B, that's what's going to cover the rest of your medical expenses, doctor visits, lab work, things of that nature. And that's what we just spoke about. There will be a premium attached to that based on your income. But those are just the basics of Medicare, right? So that's just original Medicare. If you just had that card and that's all you had, for the most part, you're going to be paying out of pocket 20% co-insurance for any expense you incur medically. So in my professional opinion, I think it's beneficial to look for a plan to help cover those gaps from original Medicare.
Mm.
And furthermore, you're not going to have drug coverage, right, with just parts A and B. So that's where the Part D comes in. And Part D is drug coverage.
Oh, huge.
In fact, if you don't get Part D drug coverage, and if you don't have other credible prescription drug coverage when you are first eligible for Medicare, you'll actually pay a penalty if you don't get on to a Part D plan.
Wow.
So unless you're on like a group plan with your employer or something else that is considered credible, you're going to start getting a penalty that you're going to have to pay for the rest of your life. So it's very important that you do get that Part D coverage at a minimum. And so you can just go purchase a standalone Part D prescription drug plan. And that would just give you that additional drug coverage along with your original Medicare Parts A and B. Now, what most people would do, I would say, is they're going to either purchase a supplement, a Medicare supplement, or it's also known as a Medigap plan, or they're going to purchase a Medicare Advantage plan. Those are two very different things. Sometimes people start mixing up the words and think they're all the same thing, but
Yeah.
they're absolutely not. So they're very, very different. So Medigap or Medicare supplement plans are just like they sound. They cover the gaps in that A and B coverage. And they typically, well, yes, they will always have a premium. And this is where things get a bit more confusing because there's a bunch more letters you're going to have to know about. They have Medigap or Medicare supplement plans from letters A through N, and they all have varying types of coverage.
Wow.
So without going into a ton of detail about
Sure,
Medigap,
yeah.
no, I won't, but they pretty much are good if you just don't like the hassle of looking at networks. If you want to travel and not thinking about, what doctors are in network or whatever it may be, those are great plans for you.
Wow.
Now, Medicare Advantage plans are the other side of the coin I was talking about. They're also known as Part C. So there's another letter to throw at you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, a lot to remember, but those are great. They're becoming more and more competitive every year. They offer a lot of ancillary benefits that Medicare supplements typically do not. For example, they throw in gym benefits, they throw in dental, vision, hearing, all sorts of additional benefits that you're not going to get on other plans. And one of the greatest things about Medicare Advantage plans are they typically are $0, no cost. You don't have to pay anything in addition to your Part B premium for them. And one last thing to add to that is most Medicare Advantage plans include your drug coverage into them. So you don't have to pay separately for a Part D plan. So
Wow.
there's a couple avenues you can take there, obviously. And obviously I could go into that in a much greater extent, but that's the important part of sitting down with a broker each year and understanding all your options and which one could be the best path for you.
Yeah, that's huge. I love one of the things I love spending time with you particularly is I feel like I always learn a lot and you've done this at such a high level with your company for so long that it's great to be able to just get a real clear, concise overview where people can watch and go, okay, at least I know what's going on. I can make good decisions from there. Let me ask you two more specific questions if I can, because these come up for me a lot and I don't know and I want to find out personally. Selfishly, I want to know the answer to these. What happens if you buy a plan like say in Arizona where we are and then you move? Like, can you see doctors in other states or like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. That actually happens a lot, and vice versa. We get a lot of snowbirds that come live here,
Yeah.
and then they end up staying here for longer than they initially expected. So, typically, if you move, you will have to change your plan, right? So you will get called what's called a special election period to change your plan if you permanently move. You get 60 days to go ahead and change your plan if you move, and that is actually a requirement if you permanently change your address to a different state. So whether you're moving to Arizona or you're moving from Arizona, just keep that in mind that you got that 60-day period to change your plan. And I have ran into those situations where somebody calls me 4 months after they move, and it's just like, yeah, your special election period's up, and I'm sorry, there's not a lot we can do for you until the annual enrollment period.
Okay. So that touches on one more thing. What do people need to know about open enrollment?
Yeah, great question. So Medicare open enrollment is from October 15th to December 7th. So that's the time of year you can change your plan, drop your plan, whatever you think is the best option for you. Now, that pertains to Medicare Advantage and Part D that we alluded to previously. Medicare supplement plans, a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually change those plans any time of year.
Oh,
You just have to remember with Medicare supplement plans, they're subject to underwriting. So you just got to be careful that if you're going to drop your Medicare supplement, that you can be eligible to get onto another plan.
mhm. That's really good to know. And that's why we're doing this interview on December 9th, because open enrollment's over. It's a lot better timing to be doing some extra stuff we can give back and provide value through content. But okay, I got one more question for you. And what I wanted to know was sometimes I run into situations where you have a couple, so spouses, and one is at retirement age and they can be on Medicare, but they also have access to the spouse's company employee benefit insurance. They're kind of trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. What do you guys do to kind of do like an analysis to help them out?
Yeah, that is a great question because we run into that all the time. And some scenarios are just, unfortunately, there's not a great answer. Because if the one spouse that's becoming Medicare age has a great group plan that both husband and wife or spouses are on, it may just be the best fit that they stay on that group plan until both of them are at Medicare age and are eligible for Medicare. And we see this a lot where the spouse that is not Medicare age yet has some medical conditions, and it would be very detrimental if that other spouse were to leave that group plan. So it's a case-by-case basis in each scenario. But if you don't feel that it would be detrimental for that group plan to be terminated and for that spouse to go on to Medicare, that what we will usually do is help that spouse that is not of Medicare age get onto just a normal marketplace plan. So what they call ACA, Obamacare, or under 65 plans, we can usually find a pretty competitive plan for them to help them kind of bridge that gap until they turn Medicare age. So we can do that as well. But what I will say, there's kind of a big myth around group plans that I've seen for years and years is people really get it in their head that there's just nothing better than an employer plan. So they delay getting on the Medicare for years. And what I have found in so many circumstances, and I'll show them this in just a financial overview and a consulting appointment, is look, you would be paying, let's say, $150 a month for your Part B. We could have gotten you this Medicare Advantage plan for $0. And a lot of times their group plan, they're taking, $1,000 or so out of their check every month. Like you would be saving $900 a month by having gone on to Medicare. Wow. And people's minds are just blown so many times, like, oh, I had no idea. So once again, I just kind of keep defaulting back to this. That's why it's so important just to meet with somebody, a broker, just to go over your options and just see what is really the best fit for you each year.
Yeah, that's crucial. I think for me personally, it just reaffirms what I've always thought, which is, you can't try to be the master of all things. You really got to focus and be really proficient in one area in insurance or finance and being in retirement income. I'm so grateful I have a great outlet like you guys, where you guys can be the experts and help people with this, because there's so many moving parts. And I think that's the message here is really, if you're approaching Medicare age or you're on Medicare, or even if you just have general health insurance questions, you got to find a group like Fidelis. Fidelis is who I go to, that can help you with all your questions. You can sit down with that broker and have that personalized interaction where they can really like customize the right solution for your needs. I don't know how else you would just buy it off. There's so many advertisements online and on TV, and you get calls. I get calls for people trying to talk about Medicare. And I think that's what's important, is to have a relationship with somebody local. So Zach, let me ask a question. How do people reach out? Because you have a huge company with lots of agents that can help. What's the best way to reach out if people have questions to find you guys?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Danny. If I can give ourselves a little plug here. I mean, we have offices in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Tennessee. And we have about 1,600 agents across the country, and they're not all just localized to those offices either. So we have local agents all around the country. One of the easiest ways to just get a hold of us, if you're like, hey, I just want to connect with somebody that can give me a non-biased view of all my options, you can call our main line, 480-712-8699. And we have somebody that actually live picks up the phone. You're not going to go through a phone tree and have to figure out, 7 layers of where you're going. We try to make it as simple as possible, and we will connect you with the broker that's closest to you in your location. And if you so happen to be in one of the states that we have an office, you can always come meet with us, or we'll drive to your house and meet with you in your own house. So we're all about simplicity and trying to make it as easy as for the consumer, the client, as possible.
That's awesome. We're going to put that number down below in the link in the description. And one thing that I can just say about Zach and their company is, Zach is somebody who I've known for years, has a tremendous amount of integrity, such a good person. That's why I love rooting for Fidelis so much, because I want you guys to grow and continue to be incredible. I mean, you've grown so much. It's so impressive. But just I root for you because I know who you are as a person, and I know that you bring that into business and you bring that into how you help serve people. And so it's really just incredible to watch a great company, be there and do the right things for people, which is who I try to be around. So I'm grateful to you, my friend. Thanks for coming on and sharing so much with everyone. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Danny. It's an honor to have been on. And it's a huge compliment for you to say that, because I feel like you are the example of integrity and a good person. So thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hey, if you like this video, please give it a like and leave a comment. I'll ping Zach. They have a great team. We can get questions answered. So if you have any comments, please leave them down below. Like and subscribe our video, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.